Alright, how you doing, UAG? You hanging in there? Hanging on to it? Doing alright? It's the end of the year. I know it's a lot of stress that you guys are under, a lot of things you're worrying about, a whole lot of stuff going on, and I know it's might be a little difficult to care about all the coding in your life. But the good news is we're doing something cool tonight, and we are going to figure out how to put your page actually live on the web. Because I know a lot of us are struggling about that, and there are a lot of different things that go on to it. So if you did not get how to do this on Friday, this video is for you. By the end of this video, you will be able to master a few things. So, a couple objectives. You're going to be able to use basic commands with the terminal. You are going to save your code with a special thing called git. And you are going to push your code live to your own website. So these are three different objectives. They're all pretty tough. They're all interconnected. There's a lot going on. So if you felt confused, don't worry about it. We all have been there. At least every engineer has been there. These are different things going on. They're all kind of tough to learn. There's a lot of stuff that you just kind of got to swim with it at first until you get comfortable. There's no easy way to learn it other than to just do it and do it over and over again until you get comfortable. Alright, so with that said, you get to watch this awkward video and we get to dive into it and figure out how to do it. So first of all, what is this thing we talk about called the terminal? On Friday you were told, okay, go into the terminal, type these commands. What is it? The terminal is basically how you really interact with your computer. You have all these fancy little mice and things and clickers and pointers and things that you think you know how to use a computer with. But unless if you can type text commands to your computer, you are not really using your computer the way that you're not really interacting with it in a real way. You're not really sending it code. You're just using some pretty thing that somebody else has designed for you to use. So the terminal is how you really interact with your computer. And so on Cloud 9, you actually get this terminal right up here. So you'll see that you have your folders to the left. You have your text editor up top. So if I type in helloworld.html, you can see that I've got a bunch of whole text up there. And the terminal is this thing under here that you can type in little commands with. And you kind of might wonder, what has this thing been for? Why has it been there all along? Well, your Cloud 9 environment is actually running its own little virtual computer somewhere on the web. So like a computer inside a computer. And you can it allows you to run all these commands and different things that developers actually use that are going to be super useful. So how is this useful? Well, I am going to show you. So there are a couple things we can do that are just for fun. So for example, there are a few basic terminal commands. One of them is echo. I can show that for you now. So you can just type in echo hello, or let's see, echo hello, and you'll see down there that my terminal just parrots back to me exactly what I said. I can type in clear. Oh, gotta make sure I'm on the right tab. I can type in clear to clear my workspace. Echo, how's it going? Cool. Totally useless, but it is kind of fun. So just an example of some of the things, the way you can actually interact with your computer. So you use the terminal to send your computer a command, and it can do different things for you. Another thing that is slightly more interesting is that we can click ls to view the contents of the folder we're working in. So you'll notice that I have this folder called Gabe Project 2 right here. When I hit ls, I can show everything in it. So there's a readme.md and a hello world file.html. So another command I could use is, let's say, cd, so I could change folders. So let's say you had a folder within a folder you could get around. But we won't really need to use those right now. Basically the point is there's a whole bunch of stuff that you can use. However, one of the most interesting things that our terminal will allow us to do, and there are a whole lot of things that as you continue to become a better developer, you'll get more and more acquainted with, is Git. And Git is like saving a file but on super steroids. So Git is this framework, it's this whole program that allows you to save your work but also keep track of lots of different versions of a work. So normally when you save your work, like on a Word document that you're working on, you only have one different version, right? You can't access like the version of the Word document you were working on 2 months ago or a week ago or when you very started. So Git allows you to save your work and keep track of like all sorts of different versions. And even more than that, it allows you to share your code on the web. Because if you've ever thought, okay, how do I actually share a project with somebody? It's kind of hard. What are you going to do? Send them an email? Like those things are just don't really work too well on the web. So Git allows us to do that. And at the beginning of the year, you all had to create these GitHub accounts. That is where the name GitHub comes from. So GitHub is this place on the web where you can share all your Git code. Okay, so if you save a work in Git, it is saved in something called a repository. And a repository is basically just a project that you are keeping track of with Git. Alright, so now here comes the good part where we actually can see how we use the terminal in for a real application and to use Git. So to start a basic Git repository, we need this command called git init. Alright, so I'm going to show us how this works right now. So if I go back over to Cloud9, I can type git init. And it's going to tell me that I've started a basic empty repository in home/whatever/wherever I'm working. And basically that just means that I have started this project that I can save using Git. I can have multiple versions of it. I can do all these things I've talked about. But git init starts your project. But I haven't actually saved anything by just typing git init. I haven't actually put it to the web anywhere. I haven't actually kept track of a version. I've done none of that. So I'm going to need a couple other commands. So that's where we get into git add. So we need to, when we're using Git, we need to select all the files that we are going to be using. And period is this little shortcut that allows us to add all our files at once. So if I go back over to Cloud9, I could do git status and I can see my different files, and I could add and I could type this in readme.md, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to use the shortcut git add. Alright, I'm going to clear so you guys can see this, and after I've done git add, I could type in git status just to see what's happened, and it says these are the changes to be committed. So I have this new file, readme.md, helloworld.md. I have these new files that I am ready to commit. So that's kind of cool, but then there's one final stage, and that is git commit-m. So but just by adding the files, I haven't actually saved them, you could think of it. I've only sort of kept track of them in this like tracking file that I've selected the files I want to be saved. The final command is git commit-m, where after the m, in quotes, you give some sort of message about what you did. So I'm going to go over to Cloud9 again, and I'm going to say git commit-m, a basic hello world site, and hit enter. And yay, it's going to tell me, alright, I have this basic site, it made some insertions, it made some deletions, and that's all pretty cool. So basically now I have a version of here that I can go back to at any time. So like I said, as you get better at coding, you're going to become a Git wizard, and you'll learn how to jump back in time to any one of these commits you've made. Anytime you've made a commit, you could jump back immediately to that version and have the complete version of the work that you've made, which is pretty cool. But we're not going to cover all that today. We're just going to stick to the basics and how to get your work on GitHub and how to get it on your own site. So GitHub, like I said, is this space on the web that allows you to have your own basically projects, your own repositories online. So if you've gone to GitHub, like I have here, you'll see that this is your GitHub homepage that you can get to by clicking their little special Octocat logo. I don't know, some combination between an octopus and a cat. I don't know. but you can create new repositories to track your work. And I have tons of repositories, if you'll see. I've made a whole bunch of them for when I was a student, and most of the time I work out of my one work repository, which is this locked one right here, which is like a secret repository that only me and the other engineers at my workplace can see. But for now, we are going to make our own website, and we're going to call it something very particular. We're going to call it our username.github.io. So for example, this is, in my case, gabrielmahan.github.io. I'm going to call the repository, I'm going to call our project that, because that will allow me to use a special site called GitHub Pages. So GitHub is really cool on the web, and one of the things that makes them cool is that they give every user their own free website where you can go to, your example, your username.github.io, and it'll work out just fine. It'll be super cool. So I'm going to show you how this could work. I'm going to make a new repository by clicking this button. And I'm going to type in my username exactly as it appears at the left. So my username is Gabriel Mahan. I'm going to type in gabrielmahan.github.io. Exactly. I'm going to make sure that the username is exactly the same as my username, and then I have .github.io. In order for you to use GitHub's free special website hosting, it has to follow this exact pattern. I know it's a little annoying, but you know, it's not too crazy difficult when you think about it. I'm sure all you guys at UAG, you can figure this out, right? So, I don't need to worry about these other options. I could give it a description. I could say, this is my site. Whatever. Unfortunately, we can't choose private because I think they want you to pay for it. But I'm going to make this little repository, and then it's going to give me this link here. It says, oh my goodness, if you've done this kind of thing before, they're going to give me a bunch of git commands, and because you haven't done this kind of thing before, at this point you might get scared and you might wonder, oh no, what am I doing? I don't know how to proceed, but it's fine. Don't worry, I will walk you through it. So, back to our Cloud9 project. Alright, so we have this Cloud9 project. It's got some HTML hello world nonsense, right? And we've already made our very first Git repository, and we've even made a commit on it. However, we haven't done anything to connect this project on Cloud9 with GitHub. So there's nothing linking this project up with GitHub right here. We've created this new repository called gabrielmahan.github.io. We haven't linked the two together. So we are going to need to add we're going to need to add a remote tracker to this repository. So we're going to use this command called git remote add, which is basically going to add a git remote. Like a remote is something you access from a distant, right? Something you use to give commands to, right? So we are going to link these two up with this command called git remote add origin, and then I'm going to copy and paste that URL I got from GitHub. So I'm going to go back over to GitHub, and I'm going to hit this copy link. So this is the link. This is the link, to my GitHub repository. So I'm going to make sure I have that copied. All right. And then I'm going to go back over to my code, and I'm going to type in git remote add origin. So origin is the name I'm going to call it. And then I'm going to paste in that link. Okay? Great. And then now I can do git push origin master. So this is the command on the second slide that I showed you, git push origin master. Basically it says now that we've added our remote that we're tracking on GitHub, now that we've connected the two, we need to push our code up live. We need to take our code from what's on Cloud9, and we need to add it to GitHub with this command called git push origin master. Okay, now this is always going to be a little tricky. but we need to enter our username, and then we need to enter our password. And now students are always going to get hung up on this because they're going to type in their password and they're not going to know, you know, it's going to show up invisible and they're going to think they're not typing it. But as you type in your password, you have to trust me, it is showing up there. So I'm going to type in mine now. It looks like nothing has showed up. And I'm even a little doubtful of it here, so I might screw it up. Oh, but fantastic, it worked. And I know that because I see all this yada 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 working on. Alright, and so hopefully I can go to my site. So I can go to gabrielmahan.github.io and I will see my project. Oh, but no, it tells me 404 not found. Alright, so I'm going to have to read this error message pretty carefully. It says, if you're trying to publish, read the full documentation to see how it's set up. Oh no. Alright. What is GitHub Pages? All this. Okay, so I could look through this all over, but basically what I need is I made a small mistake, and that is in my project I have hello world.html, and what I really need is to call this index.html because that is the web standard name for a home page. So when your web browser navigates to a site, it finds the home page by finding a index.html. But okay, so I made this mistake. Now I need to get this, now that I've made this change, I need to push up this new change to GitHub so that GitHub can receive this new change. So once again, anytime I need to make a new change, I'm going to need to use my magic set of commands, which if I look back at the slides, let's see, git add period and then git commit -m some message about what I did. So git add period. I can type in git status just for fun if I want, but the real thing that'll save the command is git commit -m. I'm just going to say change name of homepage. Okay, so now I've saved that change. That's great. The last thing I need to do is another git push origin master. Alright, and oops, that is my GitHub password. Hopefully you didn't see that. So I'm going to type in my username and then now my password. Ta-da! Oh, and let's see, Gabriel Mahan. Oh. I wonder if I typed in something wrong. Okay. Alright, so we should be good. Hopefully then, in a few minutes, this page will load, and I can go into gabrielmahan.github.io, and I should see my site. Now, if it doesn't show up, that's fine. It definitely takes a few minutes usually, but look! Oh, this is my site. It is my little Hello World site that I programmed here. It's not the basic error page, right? So remember we had before this site not found page. My site works, so this is fantastic. Anytime I want to make a change, I can just go back to my project. I can do something with my little index.html here. Alright, the text is a little big, so I can... Alright, I see I've got some JavaScript, I've got some this and this and this, but instead of... I'm just going to make a this is yada yada. I can do git add period, git commit -m, a random text change. Okay, I typed it all wrong. But then git push origin master. Now this is at the very bottom of the screen. Hopefully I did that right. And like I said, it probably takes a few minutes. Oh, okay, but I screwed some things up. And, alright, the changes didn't apply because it's going to take a few minutes to load. I'm not going to make you worry about that. But the point is, this is everything you need to know about Git, where the key things are git add, period, git commit -m, and then git push origin faster. So, there you go. You have everything you need to know to push your site live on the web and have a fun project that you can be proud of and then you can show everyone off. I know this video was a little bit long at about 20 some minutes, but I think I wanted to cover everything in depth and explain everything, and you can come back to it, you can pause it, you can rewind it. I want you to do all those things if you are stuck on your deploying your site live. Alright, hang in there, UAG.